Today on the Chat and Chew Show.
And then
you said something so strong. You said your passion, what did you say, can propel you to your purpose? Or
passion is a precursor to
Precursor.
your purpose. Yep.
like you went by that so fast. I'm like, wait a minute. Your passion is a precursor to your purpose.
Yeah.
And people spend tons and tons of energy, time, everything trying to find out what their purpose is. But if they just step back and look at
What are you passionate about?
Yeah.
No matter where you are in life, part of our human nature has always been to find meaning and purpose for our time here on earth. Some of the most common questions that we seek to answer are, why am I here? And how do I focus on what really matters? Today on the Chat and Chew Show, we are joined by Carl Fortune, founder and president of the Fortune Foundation. The Fortune Foundation is a nonprofit organization committed to increasing the number of minority youth who excel both academically and professionally, and who are also equipped with tools to become effective leaders in their communities. Carl holds 3 master's degrees and by day works full-time as a senior manager in the public sector consulting space. He is originally from Miami, Florida, but has resided in the state of Maryland for more than 10 years. He will share with us why he chooses to give back to his community through mentorship, how to manage relationships when building a business, and what you can do right now to zero in on your purpose. Get your pen and pad ready, Chat Tribe. You will not want to miss one of these valuable tips.
Well, hello everybody, and welcome to the Chat and Chew Show. My name is Betty.
And I'm Roxanne.
And we are excited, thrilled, overjoyed. How about that? That you have joined us today. All of that, all those words. And we know that there are tons and tons of podcasts and YouTubers out there, and that you clicked on our episode. We can't be more grateful. So thank you for joining us. And as you know, the Chat and Chew Show is designed to empower you to do your relationships better. And we are all in a relationship. No matter where you are in your life, you can be in a romantic relationship, or your school teacher, your relationship with your children, more importantly, your relationship with their parents, you are Uber drivers. So your relationship with people, and this show was put together to help you to do your relationships better. And as we say every week, and we mean this show today is going to be fantastic. I heard a quote from this guy who's a motivational speaker who has since passed, named Zig Ziglar. And I love what he said. He said, if you can help enough people get what they want, you also can get what you want. Think about that. If I spend my life and my energy helping people, especially people who are underserved and people who fall through the cracks, get what they want, I can also get what I want. So today's show, we're going to speak to a person who is spending his life basically helping other people. This is going to be a fantastic show. So hang with us.
All right, so welcome back. As Betty mentioned to you, we have a great show today and a great guest. So we want to welcome Carl Fortune to the show. Hey, Carl.
Hello. Good morning, everybody.
And just to clarify, it's Carl with a C.
Carl with a C. You know, I tell people that all the time. Carl with a K, Carl with a C. Yep.
Well, Carl, so you run Fortune Foundation, right? Can you tell us a little bit about Fortune Foundation and what you guys do?
Sure. So the Fortune Foundation is a nonprofit organization that I started in 2013, so 8 years ago. And in its true essence, it's really just a nonprofit organization where I try to empower youth and provide them with tools to become leaders in their community. And so it's coupled with mentoring, one-on-one activities, working with the community, working with churches, and just collaborations, community events, partnerships is really what we're all about. So we try to sprinkle ourselves in different things, whether it's school, whether it's church, whether it's community, and different things like that, and really uplift our
Wow. So Carl, why would you do this? Why would you spend your life trying to help other
youth.
people, especially youth?
I mean, it's where my heart has always been, if I'm being honest with you. And it's an interesting dichotomy because with the Fortune Foundation, I started it for two reasons. One, because of all the opportunities that I was afforded as a young kid growing up, but also all the things I didn't get to have in the mentorship and guidance that I didn't get to have. So it's interesting. So it's twofold. And really, I do this because I have a heart for youth. I've always felt like, I was wise beyond my years, as people say. I'm young, but have always been considered the elder. And so I really like to impart wisdom. I really like to that each one teach one concept, where as you grow and as you thrive, especially in your career, whether academically, professionally, you reach back and you make sure you bring, other people along. And it's also being a Black man in America, understanding the challenges that we face, the hardships, the negative stereotypes, and really trying to eradicate that, and teaching our young people that they value, that their lives have value, and that we matter. And interestingly enough, speaking of value, so the organization's name is the Fortune Foundation, but our vision is to be rich, and it's a play on words, because it's not rich in your pocket, it's not rich in your bank account. Rich is actually an acronym: respect, integrity, character, and hard work. And so I want our youth to know and understand that the true value of a person is a matter of the heart, and not necessarily a matter of their bank account. So respect, integrity, character, and hard work is really something that we impart and try to drill heavily into the youth that we serve.
Good. Now, I find that people who do work like yours, it's like you said already, they have something that they didn't get in their lives. And so now they're like, because I didn't get this, I want to be able to give it to somebody else. So tell us some of the things that you felt that you didn't get in your life that would make you want to reach back and give to someone else.
Sure. So I grew up first generation Haitian American. My parents are from Haiti. And so they don't really know or understand the concept of mentorship or programs. They were very overprotective. If it wasn't your mom or your dad, any other adult was not really allowed to be some type of pivotal role in your life, just really being overprotected. So while church was I guess, a safety net for me in terms of leadership, guidance, and wisdom from elders. When it came to school and other community activities, we didn't really have that too much. I really didn't start to explore that until, late in high school. And then, of course, when I moved on to college, and I could, have academic advisors and professors and different folks like that who could, help give some guidance along the way. But I think what I lacked, or what I wish I had, was some one-on-one, just very early on, and outside of my parents, just having someone else that you can bounce ideas around with, someone else who you felt like you can trust, someone else who was not going to judge or necessarily play the role of parent, mom, dad, caregiver, but just someone who was very neutral, and someone who was, rooting for you along the way.
Now, how in the world, as a young person, did you know you needed something like that? You would be thinking, as a young person, you're like, I don't want nobody telling me nothing.
What? I didn't know. That's the bad part. I didn't know I needed it until it was too late, and I wish I had it. And so that's part of what we try to do is meet people where they are, and try a lot of the skills, the activities, the programs that we put together for our youth. While they might not think it's absolutely relevant right now, our hope is that we're at least planting a seed so that 5, 10, 15 years from now, it all clicks and it makes sense. So to your point, Betty, while I didn't know I needed it then, I'm thinking of all the things that I wish I had and making the conscious effort and decision to make sure that the Fortune Foundation at least incorporates those things.
Hmm. How does it feel to give that back to people? Like knowing what you're giving based on what you know now. How does it feel?
It feels phenomenal. And I tell people this work that I do and nonprofit and serving the community is some of the most fulfilling work that I have ever done. And academically, I'm pretty accomplished in terms of 3 master's degrees and work and, being a senior manager in the public sector and different things like that. And I do that because I love it. But the Fortune Foundation is where I feel fulfilled. It's truly where my purpose is. And I tell people all the time, you can love your career, but feel fulfilled in a completely different area.
Yeah, I've heard in those terms, it's like you have a job and then you have your real work. So
Yeah.
the job affords you to be able to do your real work. And it sounds like your real work is like really empowering youth in that. So are
Yeah.
you doing, I want to say direct care, but that's not it. Are you working with youth? Or are you just running an organization, mentoring people who actually work with youth?
So it's twofold. I oversee all of the programmatic financial aspects of the Fortune Foundation, but I'm also boots to the ground, hands-on, very interactive. So when it comes to our mentoring programs, I'm at every single event, every single activity.
Okay.
Yeah, so I'm very hands-on.
How did you guys have to,
Go ahead. Go ahead,
I
babe.
was gonna say, how did you guys have to adjust during COVID?
Oh man, it has been a challenge during COVID, so much so not all of the programs and activities that we had going on are actually in session right now. Some of them were, especially where I was working with at-risk and youth that were, disadvantaged in some way, shape, or form. Um, you know, in this virtual capacity, if they don't have the computers or the laptops at home, it's hard to continue to work with them and meet and do those kinds of things. We're just very careful in the sense that we like to work with our youth, preferably in a school setting, preferably where other teachers and adults are involved and can see the great work that we're doing. And because a lot of schools, especially in my area, aren't necessarily open right now, it's hard to continue those activities. But trust and believe, I have some parents who call me every other week just to, get their child together and be like, get this boy before I do something. So it's cool to still have, that connection, even though we're in a virtual setting these days.
Yeah.
Nice. So I was actually wondering what are most of the issues that you see with children now, the age that you deal with?
Yeah, I would say behavior issues are probably at the top of the list. And what I mean by behavior issues, just, having issues with listening, paying attention, being disrespectful here and there, thinking that they're grown and old and can say what they want, do what they want, and different things like that. And one thing I didn't say is while I started the Fortune Foundation to work with youth in general, interestingly enough, over the years, it has just gravitated to working with our young kings, as I like to call them. Whether that's schools bringing me in to work with a group of their young men, or whether that's parents asking if I can do just some one-on-one mentorship and coaching with their young kings. It's just gravitated to that. And honestly, I feel like I can relate a lot more if I'm being honest, so it's definitely a great opportunity.
Also,
So
I'm wondering what like if you see any pressures from like social media, just like the way things are now that were different from when we grew up. That's an addition.
I think, sure. So to answer your first question, in terms of some of the issues I see with the youth, especially the young men that I serve, sometimes it's behavioral issues, sometimes it's academic issues. in terms of, just getting them motivated, helping them develop really strong study habits, helping them learn the importance of respecting themselves and their teachers and things like that. And also, second question, I forgot it that fast.
So the second question is for, do you also see the effects of social media, which we didn't have growing up, on just their attention, behavior, etc.?
Oh man, social media is a blessing and a curse. But when it comes to youth, I definitely see how they are so impressionable when it comes to social media, and not always in a good way, unfortunately. There's always the latest craze, there's the latest challenge, there's the latest viral song that don't necessarily have either a positive message or something that's necessarily uplifting to our youth. And you're right, Roxy, because growing up, we did not have the vastness of social media as we do today. And so here we are. I'm working with youth who, or at least I would say the fun part is that they always want to teach me the latest dance for TikTok. So my dance moves are definitely sharpened. But to that end, I see how they want to emulate certain people or certain things that's not always positive. And so really affirming them and helping them become validated, not by other people, but staying true to themselves is really something that I try to impart.
Yeah. Now, our show is all about doing relationships better. And so you describe working actually with the kids, working with the parents and the schools and all of that. Can you tell us some situations where you had to use like your, I want to say negotiating skills or how you've worked with people who are disagreeable, didn't want you in the school? Because you know how it is. There's some people who are all for everything you're doing. And then there's some people's like, why are you in here? They're just suspicious, parents, even like your parents were suspicious of other adults in your life. So give us some instances where you had to like navigate through these relationships to kind of get your programs going.
Absolutely. There are definitely challenges out there. And I will say that a lot of times with the schools that I work and partner with, most times we get parental consent before we even start working with their young child. So we have a consent form where we send something home to the parents so that they can be completely in the loop, understand what we do, when we do it, and how we're going to do it. But to that end, you still have some parents who are very suspicious. Why are you this nice? Or wait, you want to tutor him because he's failing in math? Yeah. And so those kinds of things, and really it's just building that trust. You have to understand that this parent or this guardian is just wanting to make sure that their young person is safe and protected, and building that trust, and taking a step away from that child and really working with the parent to tell them what you've done so far and the impact and some of the outcomes you've seen over the years, and building a relationship with them as well. And so I've found that when I make the relationship building with the child and the parent, that's when you get the best reception and you're well received and they're wanting to work with you more. But we've had schools that we've wanted to partner with and local communities that we've wanted to support. And, being a new and young organization that's not necessarily on the level of the Boys and Girls Club or other, national events, it's hard. So you get pushed to the side, you get a lot of no thank yous and different things like that. But we persevere, we push on. And
Yeah, because you really got to convince parents, because I know how I was with my son, who's 25 now. I was so overprotective. You would have to jump through all kind of hoops to prove to me that my son could go to your after school program,
Absolutely.
Because it's so crazy out there, with people who have ill intentions, that kind of thing. And so just like you said, building that relationship, with the parents and all, I
Yeah.
think it's a good thing. So you're not just a fly-by-night organization, you're actually an established nonprofit, right?
Established nonprofit. We got papers and everything
Hey,
else.
that's papers.
Everything. We went through, well, first of all, I developed a business plan when I first wanted to start the Fortune Foundation. And the business plan for me was more so my why and the purpose. And I wanted to make sure that I understood before I could pitch this to anybody else. I wanted to understand what's my mission and my vision and my goals. Who's my target population, and what exactly am I trying to do here?
Yeah, this is huge. This phrase is coming to my mind: follow your bliss. Or have you heard that before? Follow your bliss, or do what you're passionate about doing. Good. So we're going to take a short break. So when we come back, we would love to for you to tell us how, as a person who's listening, that I can find and start doing what I'm passionate about doing. Okay. All right. So we'll take a short break, and we'll see you on the other side of the break.
Now, a delicious word. Let's chew.
Hey everybody, it's your girl Roxanne, and today I want to share with you a recipe for a simple salmon. Now, I love this recipe because it does not take long at all, so it's great at the end of a long day, and also it comes up pretty light, and it's a versatile dish that you can add to anything. So let's get started with a large nonstick pan, and we're going to add some olive oil, a small tablespoon of butter, and some sea salt to the bottom of that pan. We're going to bring that to a sizzle so that we know that pan is hot and that butter and olive oil is all mixed together. And then we're going to add our salmon. Now, I normally get a large piece of salmon and I leave the skin on, and what I do is cut that salmon into about 3 to 4 pretty large pieces. And so we add that salmon into the pan with the skin facing down. And so we do that because the skin is going to soak up all that buttery olive oil, salt, and all that mixture, all that flavor. It's going to suck that up into the skin. And so when you flip it over, you have that kind of seeping down into your meat as well. Mind you, before I do this, I do not put any seasoning on the salmon. I'm completely seasoning my salmon in the pan. So like I said, we put the salmon in the pan with the skin facing down and put that pan, and that pan is on medium high because I want that skin to sizzle and almost fry in a way and get nice and crispy. And so that's going to cook pretty quickly. So I usually leave it for takes about 5 minutes for me, because you want to look for the meat to start to cook on that side, so that meat will turn to like a light pink just on that bottom. And once you see that, you want to flip it over. And so before you flip it over, though, I'll add in some salt and pepper on that non-skin side, the side that does not have skin, because like I said, I'm doing all my seasoning in the pan. Now you want to just go ahead and turn the heat down to a medium-low or low temperature, because we want to slow cook the middle of that salmon so that it does not dry out. And at this point, you can cook the salmon to whatever temperature that you prefer. I like mine to be about a medium well heat, so it's like a little bit of darker pink in the center, because for me, it just tastes better later when I'm heating up leftovers and stuff like that. It helps me to not dry out later during reheating. So I go for like a medium to medium well in the center. And so once you have that, you go ahead and just turn your salmon off, and it is done. You probably want to get it out of the pan so it's not still cooking as it sits in that hot pan. And then sometimes what I do is eat it with spinach. Sometimes I add some lemon to it on top. You can do whatever. It's kind of versatile because at this point, all you use is salt, pepper, and butter and a little bit of oil. But what I'm going to do this time is I'm going to make one of my favorite dishes, and that is to have the salmon with some zucchini noodles. And it's one of my favorites because it's really simple, and I stumbled upon it when I was trying not to eat so many carbs. And so all I do is just take some zucchini noodles, some fresh zucchini noodles, put them in the bottom of a plate, and then add a piece of my salmon on top. And then I add some ginger dressing to that. And you can pick whatever dressing you like. I tend to like the ginger paired with it. And then sprinkle some crushed red pepper on top. And so what you get is the noodles. I actually find that I don't even need to cook them. The noodles kind of sop up the flavor, and it gets like that. It gets the juices from the dressing, but it also soaks up the flavor of the fish. So that salmon, the salmon is really hearty, and it's kind of a heartier fish. And then the zucchini noodles are pretty light, so it just soaks that up. So, as you're eating, you wrap the zucchini around the salmon and eat it all at once, and you get the salmon flavor kind of bursting through the zucchini, and at the very end you get a punch of that crushed red pepper. So it becomes like a really exciting thing to eat, even though it's very simple to make. So I love it because also it's a dish that when I want, I can heat it up, and then I can also eat it cold, more of like a salad if I'd like to as well. So give it a try. Let me know what you think. And if you find a way to improve it, let me know as well. All right. Until next time.
Okay, so welcome back. And we are talking with Carl Fortune about his Fortune Foundation. When we left off, Carl, you were telling us that you had to define your why pretty much. That was pretty much the meat of your business plan. And so for people sitting at home who are trying to figure out their why, or maybe they have the thing they want to do, how did they get started working on something they're passionate about?
You actually just said it, Roxy, paying attention to that passion. I think for a lot of people, your passion is a precursor to your purpose. And so whatever it is that's keeping you up at night, whatever it is that, you can do, time and time again without getting bored, without getting tired, whatever gets your motivational juices and creativity flowing, I say pay attention to that. Don't ignore it. Sometimes a lot of people feel, well, that's not where the money is, or how do I explain this to my parents, but I just don't even know where to start. Figure it out, because your passion is definitely what is going to set that tone for you. And
you said something so strong. You said your passion, what did you say, can propel you to your purpose, or
passion is a precursor to your purpose. Yep.
Like you went by that so fast. I'm like, wait a minute. Your passion is a precursor to your purpose. Yeah. And people spend tons and tons of energy, time, everything trying to find out what their purpose is. But if they just step back and look at
what are you passionate about?
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
What keeps me up at night? What wakes me up in the morning? Mm-hmm. What I do for free? Like, I'm about to start preaching on this one. Hey, that's strong.
Take it there. Yeah.
That's strong.
Because think about the things that you circle back to all the time.
Yeah.
You circle back to it, you ignore it, and then you just another year later you come back to it and you like doing it, but you never focus on it. Mm-hmm. And it's just if you stop and pay attention to that, you can get.
Yeah. So interestingly enough, Betty and Roxy, when you have someone who says, well, I don't know what my purpose is, or I'm still trying to figure it out, I guarantee you, ask them what they're passionate about. They know their purpose. A lot of times we ignore our purpose, but we know what it is. If we really take a step back, as you said, and reflect about those things that we are passionate about, deep down inside, we know our purpose.
Yeah. And for our listeners out there, like, I think you've made a great point. I mean, don't miss this, is that don't look at just the money, because it may not be an income generating like you think. I want to be a millionaire, or I want to be this. But I think this is important, because if you're doing what you're passionate about, then you live life more fulfilled.
Yeah.
You live life with more joy, more satisfaction, and more peace. Yeah. You hate going to your regular day job, but you know your regular day job funds what can fund, what you're passionate about. So don't look at what the money is. I think that's hugely important because you don't want to live life like chasing after things that don't bring you joy and satisfaction. Anyway, I'm gonna get off that because that's a whole show by itself.
It really is.
Oh my.
Okay, I don't know if we can take number 2, Carl. What's number 2?
Number 2 is discipline. You just have to be willing to put in the work. Betty, you used an example earlier of someone who maybe wants to become a singer. And so by putting in the work, it's taking the vocal lessons or doing the vocal exercises or, studying music, learning music and different things like that, practicing, rehearsing. So I definitely think when it comes to your purpose, having the discipline to push through or carry through is important. And that's what makes the difference between starting your purpose now or 10 years from now. You have a lot of people who say, oh man, if I just wish I would have, started doing this 5 years ago when I first, and discipline is that deal breaker. It'll make or break your purpose. Yeah. And then I think the last thing is just, and this is more so for support and encouragement, motivation along the way, just immersing yourself around people who are like-minded, people who are going to, root for you and be that cheerleader in the background, and just pushing you along the way.
Yeah. That is huge.
Yeah. So I heard pay attention to your passion. Put some discipline to that thing.
Which is a cuss word. No.
You said what?
No, skip that.
Discipline. And then surround yourself with like-minded people. So your network does really matter.
Yeah.
And I like those because I think sometimes even though, we also scared sometimes we'll be wrong. Like, what if I do this and it's not my purpose? But I feel like you just never know if you don't get started. So, and it's okay if you get started and you get into it and you're like, okay, I like doing this, but it's not the thing I'm going to do forever or whatever. It's perfectly fine.
Yeah. Fear is the most crippling and debilitating thing when it comes to moving forward with our purpose. And if we, continue to operate in that fear, we will be stuck.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's why I think what you're doing is important because, youth and young people, if they can get a adult in their life who can speak to them about what's possible for them, they believe it and they just run with it, right?
Yeah.
But us adults, we're like, oh, wait a minute, I done had too much life. I've seen too many disappointments. And yeah, I hear you guys saying, go for it. But, I failed so many times. What would you say to a person who's like, I'm scared or, it won't work for me kind of thing?
I will say to them what I say to myself every single day, do it scared. It's okay to be scared, but do it anyway.
Yeah.
Jump out there, put yourself out there, and just go for it. And that's really the only way to conquer fear is to face it head on directly. And so do it scared.
Yeah.
Can I ask one last question? I felt that you had the wrap up face.
No.
No. I thought you would be like, oh, well, thank you. And I was like, wait. Because I really want to know because you're like we talked about your job requires a lot of networking on different levels. And so I was just curious if I'm starting a business that requires a lot of networking and getting people to buy in, especially partnerships, like how do you pitch? Like is there a pitch protocol or like how do you pitch your organization?
No, interesting that you asked, Roxy, because that was part of my business plan. I wrote out a pitch that I had to memorize and say over and over and over again until you get it right, because you only have sometimes one chance to really make an impression on somebody and try to get that buy-in. So I would say, write down your pitch and rehearse your pitch and say it to yourself over and over until you're comfortable enough to say it off memory and confidently at that. And so, yes, when it came to networking and meeting new people and going to these schools and community events, I had to have a set of buzzwords that I knew I was always going to add into whatever I was saying. I'm like, whatever I say, I just have to make sure I say these words, because those words were really what was key and the driving force, behind, the Fortune Foundation and our mission and our values and those kinds of things.
Nice. So is it like, this is my organization? Because you know how some people say you have to tell them what you do and then also have an ask, or like, what were like some of the things you included in yours?
Yeah. It's always good when you can, at some point, include metrics, outcomes, and impacts. So I'm a numbers person. So, even before the Fortune Foundation, some of the things that I was doing before that in the community, I used that and leveraged that as some of my win things when I would, pitch. So, the Fortune Foundation has been around for 5 years now. We've partnered with over 12 schools and mentored over 500 students and, different things like that. You definitely want to say numbers, because that's what sticks out and resonates with people. They're always going to remember, some of those big things.
Nice. Cool. Thank you.
This is great. So tell our audience where they can keep up with you. What are your...
Yes. You can keep up with the Fortune Foundation on our website, www.fortune- so there's a hyphen, fortune-foundation.org. We're also on social media, Fortune Foundation. We're on Twitter, Fortune Foundation, and myself, Carl Fortune _ on Instagram.
Okay. And what state are you in?
We are operating in the state of Maryland.
Okay.
Yep.
Cool. Roxy, you want to tell our people where they can find us?
Well, thanks for coming today. If you are watching us on YouTube, please subscribe wherever that button is. I just point everywhere. Also, you can hit the bell to be notified when we have new episodes, and like and share and comment. And then also, if you want to follow us on Facebook or on Instagram, we are at Chat and Chew Show. So thank you so much, Carl, for joining us again.
Thank you for having me. This was fun. It was an honor and a pleasure. Thank you so much, ladies.
Sure. Well, audience, friends, guests, we will see you next Tuesday. Bye.
Bye.
This episode is brought to you by the Chat and Chew Company. Host, Betty Jones. Co-host, Roxanne Brew. Producer, Vanessa Outland. And music by Elwood Jones.